edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Well, it's Tuesday. It's 3 p.m. Pacific Earth time. Here we are on the internet. What's behind the door? What is behind the red? Oh, it's just the Borg again. What? Who cares? Like, I don't know. Guys, are you as sickened as I am? Has anyone ever had their expectations like just gone up and down, and their opinion of a show gone up and down like mine have this season of Picard? Let's see what the guys think. Let's bring in the real hosts. Captain Fun himself, Larry Young, Dr. Johnny Price, PhD. Hey, John.
See what the guys think. Whatever.
What's going on, everybody?
I like the Sorry.
I like the opening this week. I love how you spray painted Serious Star Trek over our $1 million mailbox icons. That was cool.
Thanks.
I liked it.
I did that a couple years ago, Larry. If you're noticing that one for the first time. It's okay, man. I appreciate.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. I appreciate any bit of feedback I get on all this stuff that I spend just way too much time on. And I want to, guys, like I said, I want to take a moment, if I may, and make a brief appeal to our audience here. Guys, hey, folks watching this Serious Star Trek thing, we love you. I love your support. Those of you that watch this show every week and just like chime in the comments, I love it. You support us as much as you need to. But if you want to support us a little bit more, you could go to YouTube. You could either do a super chat once in a while, or you could subscribe, and there's a $2 membership that a few of you are members of. I'm not going to make a hard sell. I would appreciate it, but I love you no matter what. Now, back to the show.
I love Tony's here, Chris, Sagsag, Dave Porter. That Facebook user thing, I fall into that myself. I'll type something on our Facebook group page, and then it comes up Facebook user. I'm like, hey, everybody, it's Captain Fun. And they're like, oh, who cares?
Yeah, if you don't want to be a Facebook user, Facebook makes things a little harder, and you got to jump through a couple hoops to show your name. Go to YouTube, and then you'll see the plethora of options of how you can support too. And thumbs up on YouTube really helps. Super appreciate it. Chris Sagasai, you could 3D print some Quatlus and just throw them out the screen, and that'd be good enough. Pal.
We taking Quatlus? Anyway, did I show you my Norman coordinate necklace? That's my latest Star Trek prop. Let me see if I can. Oh, here it is. Remember from Mud's Women?
Oh, nice. Wow. Great.
Norman. There we go. Norman.
Yes, that is lovely.
Norman.
Also, that's my letter opener.
Love it.
Is that screen accurate for Vlasic? That's Vlasic's knife.
Oh, is it really?
No,
well, it's kind of
just making shit up.
It's probably accurate because look, it's like 6 inches long, which is 3/4 of what they're supposed to be. So I wouldn't doubt she's using that as screen use.
So you say it's 25% different? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
It's 25% different. Yeah.
Oh my
just because of the different license.
Hey, speaking of props and 25% different, I love that you just were hating on that guy's mashup phaser. The 3D print. I think Chris Sagasek posted it looks
fucking terrible. I'm sorry.
But it's a good start, Like you would have to jazz it up yourself, but
I mean, look, I'm all for people trying to do what they want to do, that's fine.
That was Philo, yeah.
Philo T. Fuzzworth.
We can see you right on. I should have known.
Much better. Yeah, much better there, Philo. So, guys, let's get to it while there's stuff worth talking about, because we only got 2 episodes left of this thing.
2?
And
we got 1. There's only 1 episode
left.
That's
what I mean, 2 left to talk about. This one and the following.
Yeah.
So let's give this. There were a lot of things, honestly, I liked about it. This episode in particular, and in its relationship to the overall story. Do you guys want to get started anywhere in particular on it?
I don't, because I am fucking sick of this fucking show. So I'd really be more excited to hear your take as,
Okay.
Because I will just shit on it. It's like, why did I have to wait until episode 8 for the only thing that's worth bothering with in this episode?
Well, I read John E. Price, PhD's excellent Dork Court article on this, and I found myself, I'm in lockstep agreement with pretty much everything you wrote, John. So why don't you lay out some of that stuff? Because I think you liked some of the same things I liked, like the actual mechanics of the plot and how the Borg did what they did and all that stuff.
I don't remember what I wrote. It was so many days ago. Yes. So this is kind of the perfect sort of emblematic problem of the entire season. I like the stuff that's happening while I hate everything that's happening. Right. So it's like, I really appreciated that I thought it was kind of clever that they're using the Borg are using the transporters to kind of rewrite people's DNA. I thought that was a really clever twist. And it's that explains why Ro didn't want to take the transporters. It explains, a couple of the weird transporter scenes earlier in the show. I thought that was pretty clever. Clever what covers do. I liked, I'm not a huge fan of the Enterprise D, but I like the whole setup where it's like we all saw this coming, but at the same time, they didn't try to rewrite, they didn't try to redesign the Enterprise D. They took, they made the brand new bridge. They, screen accurate bridge. They made screen accurate. I like the fact that they're like, yeah, we stole the Syracuse secondary section from the Syracuse. Like, whatever, because of course it's Geordi. He's building the 69 Mustang in his garage, and it happens to be a Galaxy class starship. I like that.
Can I stop you for one?
Yeah, absolutely.
The essential John E. Price question. I think maybe this could be one of the best ever. What percentage of the Starship crew is under the age of 25?
It's a great question. Maximum a third?
I don't know. If I'm thinking about it, if it's like a battleship or I guess even there's a lot of people in the Navy older than 25.
I'm with John though. That's absent any information. That's what you kind of have to do something like that. It's like a third officers and
at the most though
support crew, and a third sciences and engineering.
Well, it depends on how they're doing crews, because
it totally depends. We don't have the info,
right, of course.
But split it in thirds.
Also,
call it a day.
That 25 is pretty young in the grand scheme of being a naval officer. So that Mura guy with the kid who was like, I'm Starfleet, I'm not going to give in to you, Vlasic. He's not 25. He's got to be older than 25. He's a full lieutenant. He's I don't
how if you were just standard, not a prodigy, not an Uhura or whatever.
So
how old would you be when you're
So generally speaking, the U.S. Navy does it this way. It's a very standardized rank structure. It's you graduate, let's say you're 22 years old when you graduate. You spend 18 months as an ensign. You spend 18 months as a lieutenant junior grade, and then you become a lieutenant. So best case scenario, you're 25 years old when you become an 03 lieutenant.
That's the youngest you would be, you'd say?
Yes, 25. That's the youngest you would be.
When you're a lieutenant.
25 when you become a lieutenant, 03 lieutenant. So you're, an ensign, 1 pip, lieutenant junior grade is 1, and then 1 black pip. And then full lieutenant would be 2 shiny pips.
And if you're on the bridge crew, you're at least a lieutenant, I'm going to guess.
I mean, a lot of them are young. Like that one chick looks young. If you're an ensign, sure, yeah, you're definitely going to be under 25. But even in Star Trek, though, Data, Data was an ensign for 3 years, and he's fucking Data. So
Chekhov was an ensign the whole time he was flying the flagship.
Right, Chekhov was an ensign for a whole long time. So ranks are weird. Fuck Harry Kim. Harry Kim's 49 years old by the time he becomes lieutenant. So, and again, at the same time, though, it's you're dealing with, let's generously say, 300 ships, which is not all of Starfleet, but that's a whole other discussion we can have. Let's generally say there's like 300 ships there in the scene. Are all of those ships going to be staffed with ensigns? Like, even
And,
even if you don't know what's coming, right? Even if it's an ambush, a sneak attack, you can overpower a third of your crew with 2/3 of your crew.
Yeah, but if it's like on a dime, they all suddenly turn into Borgs, and I'll buy it that they
Sure.
can get like. Fair enough. I was just trying to figure out. It's not like the whole everybody except the old people. It was like there's got
now there's less. No, in the Navy there's fewer people. The higher ranks, there's only one captain.
Yes,
there's a couple lieutenant commanders. There's a few more lieutenants. There's a few more ensigns, and there's a whole bunch of enlisted people. It's not really how Starfleet works, but that's kind of how Starfleet works.
Besides the most famous guy in the galaxy, Cole Meany, they don't really spend a lot of time talking about enlisted and lower deck.
Well, Ron Barry was against the idea of enlisted. He wanted everyone to be like a professional scientist, basically. They got away from that with DS9 and Voyager, but
I love in the discussion there going on with the fireworks. It's cracking me up.
I was saving that because we're on the positives part right now. Right? We're still.
I don't see anything negative about this. So, like people get about that crack me up. It's like you guys, you can throw a holographic snowball and hit like Professor Moriarty, and that's fine. But you can't have holographic. Fireworks.
I don't have a problem with the fireworks.
Yeah, I don't get why people are hung up on that. How do they
sound in outer space?
But they're not fireworks.
It's Star Trek.
They just look like it, right? They say all this in Star Trek every 5 seconds.
I'm with you.
Hey, is that a chicken salad sandwich? Looks like it, tastes like it.
Yeah.
Why can't they modify a photon torpedo to be fun? Right, like that's something they could do.
I don't even think it's that. Why bother with shooting stuff out where a casing, exploding casings and crap can all hit everything? Just fucking go turn on the holodeck switch and go, pop, pop, hey, look, it's fireworks, just like on Earth. Hey, isn't that cool?
I didn't have any of all the things to have a problem with in this episode. Shit. Fireworks was not my top 10.
It was jarring and it was weird. Because yes, you can have fireworks in space. There should have been the spacey fireworks, not like copy and paste the Beijing Olympics.
Here's my thing about these fucking guys. All you need is a line. All you need is a line, and all of this shit goes away. True. It doesn't pad out the whole fucking episode to go, hey, we got the fucking Tellurian fireworks coming. All right, immediately, it's not even a line. It's one word.
Absolutely.
And all you have to do is, that's what they do on Star Trek.
Oh, the whole fleet's here. They even brought in the Tellurian fireworks. I love it.
Fucking whatever.
And I get that they've got a bunch of stupid old-fashioned traditions, too, like the naval ships and all that naval tradition.
I was going to say, you know what bugs me more than the fucking fireworks is piping a guy on, with a fucking whistle that's got LEDs on it. Fuck you in the neck, where you have Vulcan chicks wearing Ray-Bans and we're just supposed to fucking take that. Just fucking eat the fireworks, you guys. There's so much other shit wrong with this show. It's like, it drives me insane.
Well, we're almost done with what I liked about the show. Anyway.
Hey, sorry.
I like all the TNG characters. I like the way I think they have appropriately seasoned them, so to speak. Into older characters. Like none of them are just portraying themselves as a younger character, but older. They're all like,
really?
They all are like Deanna Troi is very more motherly, and like Geordi is kind of salty because he's been stuck in a space museum for 10 years. I think they've done a good job to that respect.
I like
Riker is like on his fucking wild hogs adventure. He's like, yeah, one more, let's do this. I love Riker so much, but anyway.
The only one I'm excited about is Worf. I think that's cool. That Worf is like leaning into like he's completely ineffectual, and he's like, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to study philosophy and be peaceful and bring that friendly energy, because that's cool. But like Riker is just playing the same part. Troy's playing the same part. They just can't run up and down.
They're playing the
stairs.
same part, but the characterization is aged.
But it's
Because they didn't have
horrible.
to do that. There's an alternate universe where they just wrote them as if they're 25-year-old, TNG characters.
You know what's missing? What's
Yeah, I
missing
guess.
that they got to give us, because they gave us the bridge. I feel like there's got to be a nice dollop of nostalgia on the last episode too. We haven't got to see 10 Forward again.
Ugh.
And could there be a Whoopi Goldberg appearance? Does that even make sense in canon? I don't even know what her character is.
Dan, you didn't see season 2.
No,
they basically did that in season 2, and it was awful.
boo, boo.
It was awful.
Can I just say they have completely ruined any, positive thing I have for these characters.
Fair enough.
They fucking just destroyed any goodwill. It's insane. I don't care if they could fucking have. I don't even know. Like, who can you bring back to get me excited again? Nobody.
Chief O'Brien.
I don't care. I didn't like Chief O'Brien on Deep Space Nine.
You don't like Chief O'Brien.
On Deep Space Nine, which is where he's going to be now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
just-
Did they really think, like, I mean, isn't it kind of like built
Maybe
in?
Guy O'Brien. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just like, isn't it built into like the basic security of Starfleet that like every ship has its own override controls and stuff?
Well, okay,
Right.
so the whole point is that the changelings have infiltrated Starfleet and kind of pushed this
Okay.
program.
All right.
That's the idea. It's not well explained. They expect you to connect the dots, but everyone's still in shock of being like, fuck, it's the Borg again. I don't want to deal with this. And that we all kind of overlooked it.
I feel like there's going to be a changeling redemption,
Ugh.
right? Because how else are we going to get there? And Vladik, we're meant to love her, right? We are.
Are we?
I think we are at this point because of the torture that she went through. She's at least a sympathetic character.
Is she?
What?
You don't think
No.
so?
No.
Okay, well, we'll see.
None of these characters. You might be right that they are intending it that way, but none of these characters they can't. They're not writing anything where they're. You ever see Man from U.N.C.L.E., the Guy Ritchie movie with Henry Cavill and the cannibal guy?
No.
It's you know the show, right, from the 60s. It's just an American guy and a Russian guy get together and be spies during the Cold War. So if they can be friends, so can everybody, and they do cool shit like American James Bond, right? But the redone movie with Guy Ritchie is fantastic because it takes everything stupid about that old show and fixes it. And the opening of the movie, everything that Henry Cavill does as Napoleon Solo is
Cool name.
yeah, it's really cool. In fact, they bought just the name from Ian Fleming, so that was a bunch of marketing when the show came out. It's like Ian Fleming's involved, and he's like, I just named your main guy. But everything he does, it's an action car chase, but it everything that happens informs his character. Like when a gadget doesn't work, he grimaces and goes, "Oh shit," and has to plan on the fly. And so you go, "Oh, that's what happens." He's not just completely reliant on, the choking watch or whatever. And this is the thing those guys do not do on new Star Trek. They just have all this borrowed interest and expect you to just fill in the blanks for yourself. And so the new characters, they don't bother setting it up because they're just pawns in the plot. Because the only guys you're following is Picard and his buddies, right? So Jack Crusher, that's great. You got to hang the plot on it, but it's you give a shit because it's Dr. Crusher's daughter and his illegitimate son. It's just such a cheat and it's upsetting to me because they're ruining my religion. So I'm just going to pretend like none of this crap happened.
So we've got a situation now where the changelings are out of the story, right? Or are they? I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
So now the Borg are the big bad, and they're hiding in some sort of nebula, or maybe it's a planet or something. They're hiding somewhere, and Jack Crusher has given himself to the Borg for some reason because he thinks he's going to use his heart and turn them into good guys or something. And now they steal the Enterprise D out of space dock, which is currently surrounded by 300 fucking overtake, networked fucking Borg run starships.
No, like, where do you start with how wrong all that is?
You know what? I don't know. There's odds are against them. They got the crew back together. What bugs me is we got so many episodes of Jack Crusher Picard interactions, like just why do I hate you, Daddy? Why? Let me get a different. It's because you're Starfleet. No, it's because you gave me a disease. No, it's because I'm a Borg. And so little interaction of those characters that we wanted to get interaction. That's gold when it's on the screen. That bugs me a lot. That we're at episode 9 of 10, and finally they could have got here even to episode 5 or 6. It should have been like 3, but like
this should have been the end of the second act.
Yeah.
Right. So break it, the first act is Vlasic, the second act is figuring out it's the Borg, the third act is the resolution where they fight the Borg, right? That's what it should have fucking
agreed.
But instead we have, so like, what's the resolution? The resolution is going to be Jack Luke tries to overthrow the Borg, and then the crew flies around in the Enterprise and fights off the fleet and comes up with some sort of, Crusher comes up with some sort of medical device that fixes everybody, or they slingshot around the sun and they reset the timeline, or like they have to do some sort of Deus Ex Machina to fix this now, which is of course
that is not Jack Luke. That is not Jack Crusher. It is a changeling.
Right.
Disguised as Jack Crusher,
right?
Who the Borg cannot detect because of the previously aforementioned changeling non-detectability.
And like, that's fucking Borg. The Borg's plan is stupid. Like, they're just gonna, they leave some sort of organic thing in Jean-Luc Picard on the off chance that one day he has a kid, so they can fucking insert the. Like, I don't. It's a stupid plan.
Can I just ruin your lives?
Yeah.
What's going to happen is what you're saying. There's going to be some kind of like time travel rollback, and so none of this matters. And guess what that gives us? I know that's 100% what's going to happen, because fucking Stashwick is telling anybody who will listen, okay, I'm dead, but there's a cool ass way to bring me back, and then we're gonna do Star Trek Legacy. Like, no one fucking cares,
right?
And it's because they're gonna roll it back, and so
and it solves their problem of most of Starfleet is now dead,
right?
Like that solves their obvious problem there. Another solution would be 7 of 9. Sticks a bunch of nanoprobes into Shaw, like she did to Neelix in season 6, and of Voyager, and she saves him. And now Shaw, the bigot against the Borg, now has to live the rest of his life as part Borg.
Nice.
Like, that would be something. But like, again, it's fucking stupid. It's
who cares?
I don't know.
But you could be right too, because the other thing that happens is that they just do the same fucking thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
How many times? I mean, this end of this story would be great if we just didn't see it on Lower Decks last year. Oh wait, and we didn't just see it on Prodigy last year.
And fucking Discovery. Discovery had control.
How do they not? And right, exactly, the AI thing from Control.
It makes no sense.
So why do they keep doing that? Oh, because they're creatively bereft and couldn't come up with a new idea. If you I do appreciate, yeah, right. I do appreciate that they have Shelby, and the second they had Shelby, I'm like, well, that's ironic because she's anti-Borg. And then to their credit, they had Picard say out loud, "That's ironic. She's anti-Borg." So I appreciate that stuff. But you know what? They had to say that because that character's 30 years old, and it makes absolutely no fucking sense.
Well, it makes sense that she's an admiral.
Well, sure, but like, why does it have to be Shelby? It's she doesn't look like Shelby.
Well, because nostalgia. You remember Shelby,
but no, of course. But what I'm saying is, I don't have nostalgia for this dumb throwaway shit that they think is just so incredible. And the first 6 episodes were so fucking great. It's like, dude, doing Star Trek is like the bar you have to. That's the ante. That's the table stakes for when your show is called Star Trek, is you have to do a Star Trek show. So just throwing all this junk in because it was in Star Trek once is bananas.
But Larry, you remember Shelby, right? So therefore Shelby is in the show.
I got you.
You remember the Enterprise. Therefore the Enterprise is in the show.
I'm just saying I don't have the nostalgia like thing where everybody's like,
Well,
I
yeah.
gotta have a whole new show with these dumbass characters.
I will say I'm kind
people
of
did
split
for
between, because I like using the world appropriately, like, you know, but at the same time, like, I'm not one of these people who like, oh yay, it's the greatest thing ever. Just when I see a character, I'm like, yeah, of course Shelby's an admiral. She was very ambitious 35 years ago. Why wouldn't she be a goddamn admiral? You know, like, yeah, of course, right? It made no sense Ro was a commander because she was also ambitious. Also, she's a traitor. So, you know, I don't know. Get some better ships, I guess.
It was a mixed bag. Like I said, I liked certain things about it. I thought the plot, whatever it is, it's a dumb sci-fi Star Trek technobabble plot, but it was set up well, and it came together in this episode. Okay, it's just, again, like what we talked about last week, the pacing for the whole season. If you just smushed it down quite a bit, would have been more enjoyable. As it is, though, it's now feels so rushed that there's not. And my question to you guys is: does Jack Crusher live beyond the next episode? I mean, even if he's the hero of this thing, I think he'll not live beyond it, because who likes him? Are people out there really into that character?
I mean, if anyone's sacrificing themselves, it's Picard.
Yes,
but I don't think any major deaths. I really don't. I think everyone's gonna ride into the sunset. I think Jack Luke is gonna squirm himself out of the Borg somehow. I think this is what I think. I think Beverly Crusher is gonna find some sort of medical way to reverse everything. And I think they're gonna slingshot around the sun to reset the timeline. Or Girardi is gonna show up with her like pacifist Borg collective, and they're gonna duke it out, but I don't think they're gonna do that because Metellus hates season 2, so I don't think they're gonna do that.
You know who else hates season 2? I just think it's hilarious that they had season 2 with a fantastic Star Trek character front and center, tons of cool backstory with his captain, that Rios thing.
Oh yeah.
And you don't want to hang a show on that guy? No, it's strand him in the past.
That's the one they write
and
out
let's
of the
hang
show.
a show on fucking, you know, Geordie's daughter and some, you know, the showrunner's best buddy. And like the whole thing is just stupid. Like, just do an adventure show. Don't do all this dumb shit.
I'm just more pissed off that, like, look, I'll take a dumb plot, I'll take a dumb character, whatever. I'm with Dan. I'm more pissed that, you know, the first 8 episodes are pointless now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go back and rewatch this season. Now that I've gone to episode 9. Now that I've gone to episode 9, and I know, because I've rewatched these episodes multiple times. Because some of them I like them, some of them I was reviewing, whatever. But I've watched all these episodes multiple times. I'm not gonna rewatch them ever again, because they don't matter. If I like episode 10, I'll watch 9 and 10 because that's a story. If they do it correctly. But I mean, what's the point? Why would I watch episode 4? Why would I watch episode 4 of this show? It makes no sense.
You could literally almost watch 1 and 2 and 9 and 10 maybe, and it would work, because you get most of what you needed. All that stuff in between was extensive filler. Even like the death of Shaw, that they telegraph so many times, like he's injured. How many times are you going to get injured? And I have to come to terms with 7 and 9. And holy moly, only for like his worst nightmares to come true in the end too, and for the Borg to come back. And it's really
what a horrible. They really misunderstood how to do symbolism with Shaw. They really misunderstood that one. I mean, he died. It's a meaningless death, effectively. Like, and it's not like some heroic death. He basically gets shot, like, in a gunfight. Like, that's it. Like, it's not a heroic death. It's not like he's saving anybody.
He's caught helping to rescue people, like he was rescued when he was blah blah. So I
Okay,
I mean,
and then they lose.
and I like that he died, and he's not gonna. They don't have to bring him back as this recurring curmudgeonly character.
But they
Sure.
will, because he's not going to be dead at the end of episode 10. He's not going to be dead.
Is that a true Larry predict? Is that a Captain Fun prediction?
Yes, absolutely.
Like it's going to be like a time travel-esque reset
Yes,
button?
that's not even. They're saying that. I mean, Metalis is saying that he has a way to bring back Shaw, the way they left it at the end of the episode. So what is that, right? Or unless you're going to give him a robot body again, and that's just TV now that we watch robot guys.
Oh yeah, Synth Trek.
Speaking of Picard, I mean, since they went through all the trouble of having his real body be around, or is that strictly as a vessel for this Borg disease thing, or why? If he was replicated into his current robotic body, would that Borg stuff not have been replicated right along with it into his current, literally robotic body?
I don't know. You know why I don't know? Because I'm still stuck on the fucking response to this Shaw character, where everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so glad. It's so sad that he died, but like at least he like showed 7 of 9 the respect that she was due with his dying breath and called her 7 of 9." It's like, yes, that fucking came out of fucking nowhere and gave them 3 seconds to do
Right.
that.
It's not an earned.
There's no way that he's giving her respect. He's probably sarcastically spitting on her with his dying breath.
Yes.
Like, hey, fuck you, 7 of 9. Here's your fucking name. You happy now?
His arc would have been a great 1 or 2 episode arc for a character. Again, they stretched it out. They just stretched it way too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they've done stuff before with him in 7 of 9, and he didn't give her the respect then. So whatever.
I don't know if these writers guys know how respect works, but it doesn't show up right at the end.
I'm sure Terry Metalis has no concept of respect.
And when he dies, and when he does die and gets shot, he's fully aware that the Borg are back, right? His worst nightmare is back, thanks to Picard. And his last thing is to pay props and respect to the Borg.
I honestly think the way they wrote him and the way Stashwick acted, I think that's what everybody was taking away from the character, that like this is his worst nightmare. And everything that he did was that he had survivor's guilt and was ashamed of himself for living for 40 years.
Yeah.
That's like the complete opposite of Starfleet right there. Starfleet is, no, I'm not fucking launching those things. It's captain's orders, It's like, it's not. It's just there's just.
Well, I can say that Metalis has pissed off a large section of New Trek fans, and I'm being serious. Awesome. He's pissed off a large section of New Trek fans because finally people have figured out that all of the people dying in this show are women. And a lot of them are queer women. So not going too well with a certain segment of the New Trek population.
It's not even that. It's like the only response to that, if somebody has that note for you, is that yes, and that's because people die and our LGBTQIA plus people are people, and it just so happens that during this story, those were the characters that died.
That is a little random. That's
but that's your response. But you know what his response is? Like, yeah, so what?
Yeah,
like,
he's an asshole.
What? That's insane. No, you have to have a story, man. You have to be like, no, this is equality based on the fact that those people died. It used to be the white guys dying. Right. Now it's everybody.
Well, they're dying because they're in positions of power, because I put these women in positions of power, which is why they're targets. That's a response. Anyway,
have any response whatsoever instead of like,
okay. So
you're mad about the carpet, like fucking Dave Glass. Jesus Christ.
I didn't understand. Like, I thought he was sort of revealing a nice joke that like he had set that joke up a long time ago. Maybe I don't understand the context of that.
The carpet joke?
Yeah, like
that's how it reads. That's how it comes off on screen. It comes off on screen because this is a legitimate, I don't want to say legitimate, but this is like an actual like Twitter thing where people complain that the New Trek bridges don't have carpets. They look shiny. They look like an iPhone store. whatever they're called,
They
Apple,
do.
whatever.
They do.
And it's like they're very impractical. Like they're not very warm or livable, or you want to spend no time in this environment. And there's a viral thread, I don't know, months ago, whatever, where a guy just photoshopped a carpet into them and was like, look at how much better it looks with a fucking carpet. And so Terry Metalis and Dave Blass at the time, I was not blocked at the time, so I was actually able to see this. They went back and they were like, oh, don't care about the carpet. Nobody cares about the carpet. Yeah, there you go. And now it comes out. I thought it was a funny joke. They're like, oh, they do care about the carpet because they gave Picard the joke. And this was written, written 2 years ago, filmed a year ago, right? They get it. They get the joke.
Yes.
But apparently they're just assholes.
Yeah.
Apparently they're just assholes, which
Just
is
assholes.
the motto of Star Trek season 3, Starship Picard season 3. Just assholes.
I'm trying to remember how many price predictions came true.
Oh, like 0.
Well, no, you predicted 7 and 9 would be promoted to captain by the end. I believe was
that was a good one. Yeah.
I believe didn't you make some predictions about the Enterprise D coming back?
Maybe.
Did anybody hear?
I mean, definitely sort of. I mean, that was definitely a popular prediction online.
Yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're bringing back,
especially in the first episode, they're talking about the little, the Eagle Moss model, and they're like, nobody likes the fat one. It's like, okay, we get it.
Yeah,
but like things don't have to be a Shyamalan twist to be good. Like I have no problem with them bringing back the Enterprise D and projecting it. I have no problem with that. I have a lot of problems with everything else.
How do you run it on such a skeleton crew?
I
too, like with Geordi, with nobody. Do you even need anybody down there? Or?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they have automated, features in the last 30 years.
Yeah, doesn't he have programmable matter or something in it now?
Jesus Christ.
It's like whatever. I just think it's funny that apparently the engines were running the whole time, right? He's filling up the garage with fumes because they just get in there, they turn the lights on like they should have had in the previous 9 episodes. Yeah.
I like that too. I like the fact they walk under the bridge and it's all dark and you're like, fuck, they made the bridge dark too. And then slowly the lights come up. And I like that. I thought that was a good move.
And the contrast of being on that ship, all the contrast, that's nice. It's a nice little refresher after all this time of darkness.
They didn't light it weirdly, though. If you look at pictures from TNG and pictures from Picard, it's lit differently. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it, but just look at the pictures. And
it's underlit. It's like a little warm thing happening because the old show, it's yellow and white and beige and wood. You can tell because it's shot for TV. Right. People need to be able to see what the fuck is going on. And these guys are like, well, streaming is just, the cinema in your living room. Well, that's great, except, behind, I have my TV here, and behind me is an open window. And I have blackout shades, but there's 3 strips of light coming through. So my experience of watching Picard season 3 was with big 3 fluorescent white strips down the middle of everything.
Yes.
Because you can't. I have my ambient light is greater than what is being thrown by my television.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Terry McDonald's and Dave Blass?
He's production designer, so fuck him. Dave Blass is an asshole. I hope he watches this. I hope you watch this, Dave Blass. You're an asshole.
I cannot believe that this fucking guy has made enemies out of people just reading his stupidity on the internet. They've been doing this for months. It's like, Dave Blass, you are such a fucking idiot. I would say that to your face, and I've never met you. Like, there's nobody in my life where I can go, I've already have a judgment on your personality, sir. And he can be the coolest guy in the world. Like, I'm sure his mom loves him, his wife loves him. Is he on Strange? Is he on Strange New Worlds? Is he the production designer of that as well?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I hope not.
I don't think so. I think they're 2 totally different crews because Strange New World is run by Akiva Goldfinger.
Because I think they struck a nice balance on that as far as set design. Like, it definitely looks more modern than it should, but still it's warm and kind of inviting and stuff, and more a little less like this one. Every corridor is made of these weird octagonal kind of like tubes with windows and stuff, and it's repeated so much. It's just so obvious that they like set these things up in different configurations, and the show feels cheap a little bit, even for all its special effects and everything else. This show feels cheap, especially when I watch Mandalorian.
Well, sure, they had to build an Enterprise D bridge. Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, that carpet, dude. I tell you,
that carpet fucking costs a lot. You know.
You heard the thing about Drexler had the blueprints, right? The reason it looks so good is because he had the original blueprints, like kicking around in his house, and they're like, "Yeah, why don't you come down and bring those down here?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll scan them for you."
Yeah, right.
Man, if he brought those original blueprints down, he would never seen those again. Yeah. Anyway,
how hard would it be? I mean, I don't know. How hard would it be to recreate it anyway? It just didn't seem like that legendary.
These people.
Yeah, you ever see 2010?
I don't know. No.
So they rebuilt a bunch of sets from 2001, but only extrapolating from screen grabs because all that stuff didn't exist anymore. And Dave's suit is just crazy off, and all the sets are just there. For somebody like me that like did nothing but watch 2001 for 20 years, it's kind of hard to watch 2010 when they're on the Discovery anyway. The rest of that movie is great. I love it. But like,
yeah, I'm also they have a lot of problems with dates. Like New Trek has a lot of problems with time. They don't understand how time works. And so like when Shaw is doing his little Jaws speech, he's like, forget about all that weird shit on the Stargazer. The real Borg are still out there. And he's referring to season 2. He's referring to all the stuff that happened, a few months earlier in this timeline. They also have Beverly Crusher say, no one has heard from the Borg in over 10 years. Mm-hmm. So what year is it?
Right.
They also are Frontier Days, the 250th anniversary of Starfleet. The Federation is 2161, which would make the year 2411. Except that they very conveniently added that they're talking about the flight of the NX-01 Enterprise, which was 2151. But the NX-01 Enterprise was part of Earth Starfleet. So Earth Starfleet already existed.
That's
where I'm going with this.
Yeah, that's the thing that threw me off with Crusher. I was like, she should have said it's the start of the Federation, right? Because there wasn't there already a Starfleet, right? I kind of
so there's more evidence that the year is 2411 than there is 2401.
So
that's all I'm saying.
But that's 20 years then, or something, right? Or like, what's the adventure where the last time we saw the Borg man?
Season 2 is 2401.
Okay.
Yeah. Season 1 is 2399. They're also retconning this, by the way. But season 1 is 2399, even though it's supposed to be 2397. And Alex Kurtzman went in interviews and said it's 2997. But they redid it and it's 2399. That's fine. Whatever. And then season 2 was 2401 because it was a 2-year jump because it gave time for Rios to be captain again. So it was 2401. It was a 2-year jump. And then season 3 was supposed to be another couple-year jump, and it was supposed to be 2404. You go back in Trek Yards, some Trek Yards videos from before the season started, and they still have the 2404 listing in some of their videos. So the Titan T-shirt says 2402 on it.
What's that one? What's the Titan T-shirt?
They gave it was like a production gift. Like they gave all the actors on the Titan a little shirt that says,
gotcha.
USS Titan, property of USS Titan or whatever, 2402. It looks nothing like this shirt, which says Disco sucks. But
Wait,
just like a gag gift, like a production gift. Now they said that was a mistake and it should say 2401. But again, why is it launching the year it's being constructed? Also, it shouldn't be constructed in 2401. It should have been anyway. Okay. the point being, they're very bad at time, and I believe it takes place in 2411.
Can I just say for you personally,
Yes.
with all this thing about time, yes, 100% agreed with everything. Speaking of time and anniversaries, you will not believe what today is, according to my memories section on Facebook. It's the anniversary. I think it's the 4-year anniversary of Mike Okuda telling you to calm the fuck down, and that your disco suck shirt was uncalled for.
Uncalled for.
I don't know if this is a happy accident or
It's a very happy
or
accident.
you did know, but I was like, I'm reading my thing. I always check and see like what's going on. I use it mostly for pictures of my kid because
That's very funny.
he's like 6 feet, 180 pounds of like muscle now.
Yeah,
so like
he grew
little
up.
picture of him being 4 playing with a butterfly is like really cool. And then I see uncalled for in all caps. I was like, what today? Oh my god,
That's awesome.
So
I definitely did not know that.
Dan,
But
do you
once
know about
again,
do you know what we're referring to? Oh,
Well, I'm just getting it by context, but I don't.
Bryce, you know who Mike
So-
Okuda is, right? He was like the real art director guy.
Yeah.
They call the design of the instruments Okudograms because he designed this thing, and it's just fantastic. Anyway, he was in the art department of Star Trek.
yeah, he defines the look of Star Trek for 30 years. Yeah, like Elcars.
Anyway, we were
the
messing
ships. He
around.
wrote the encyclopedia. But yeah, so disco, when they came out with these disco shirts, this little the work shirt, like what Captain Fun's wearing a version of.
Speaking of L cars,
I know, when you did that, I loved it. Carpet restored.
Well, so this was a Dave Blass tweet. I found it on Twitter, and I had to figure out how to even get pictures off of Twitter. That was a learning experience.
Well, it looked good.
Thanks. I added it to my L Cars collection. Let me go back to
I like it.
here.
I just wish these guys were less defensive, right? I mean,
It drives me nuts.
It's cool to. I totally understand as creatives or talent, you want people to like what you're doing, right? And if people aren't responding to it, it does seem like a personal thing. But on the other hand, it's incumbent upon you to have a thicker skin than you just start crying that people are.
They don't even like even.
come on.
It's not even people. Like, look, if someone's calling you an asshole, I get it. To call them an asshole back. They're not even doing that. They're going after people who are just asking questions. Armin Shimmerman just asked a question, and he fucking went off on Armin Shimmerman, like
a legacy Star Trek
here.
actor,
fucking Quark himself.
Not just that. If he doesn't do his job, Dave Blass, you don't have your fucking job. Just think about the context for a second.
That's too bad.
Anyway,
but yeah, no, I think they're gonna go back in time and reset everything.
I hope they go back in time so like the Picard show doesn't exist at all.
Yeah, that'd be
and
nice.
so Picard doesn't have to die a robot.
Yeah,
just none of that happened. If it's gonna just not make any sense and not matter, like all of Discovery, well, at least just go. None of it matters, and we'll start over. And then Star Trek is just a happy show of like, oh yeah, hey, did you like Enterprise? Yeah, it was all a holodeck thing that Riker and Troy were running. It's like these guys don't want to admit that Star Trek is a religion for half the planet. It's like, oh no, it doesn't matter. No, it matters. Who doesn't matter? You false prophets that own the IP.
Nice.
Anyway,
well, so
I don't know.
So I want some predictions. One thing I hate about shows like this is we never get called. People never get called on their bad predictions. So I want some bad predictions on how to pull this show.
People don't get called on their predictions that don't come true because they are universally 100% of the time better than what actually happens. And it's kind of not their fault because fanboys automatically know the IP better than the other people because they've been talking about it since 8th grade. Right. So, okay, there's nothing you can do, but you guys are professionals. So that brings up the balance. Right. Except then when they start playing around and not understanding their own IP, it starts to get really stupid. Like all through Shield, like me and Kevin Camarley were coming up with stuff that would just have been fantastic. But there's a thing about budgets and what's availability at the time, and like I don't know why they made reflective floors, because that's got to be a nightmare to shoot with all the reflections of all the guys standing around having burritos in the background while Anson Mount's trying to like get in somebody's pants. It's like, and it happens on Mandalorian. There was a guy in jeans and a t-shirt, standing in the background while something was happening, but Disney takes that down immediately, erases the guy out, and adds the new one, and everybody forgets that happened. On Star Trek, it's just like, oh, no, there's a guy in a wheelchair. We know it's the future.
I take your point, because I am bitter that the Moriarty thing was such a red herring. Just red meat that I bit. I bit hard on that red meat, and got so disappointed.
You're not alone on that either. Other people did too, where they're like, yeah, Moriarty's the villain, and then they start theorizing all these ways Moriarty could be the villain.
Could have been cool.
But that's what Dan did, his predictions. You had a great thing in there that like, okay, well, Data's there, and he's a cybernetic hologram, and that's coming to a giant head, and no, it didn't. There's some kind of stupidity they didn't follow up on.
Even the lore stuff, like this gigantic battle between Data and Lore, the final battle between Data and Lore, it doesn't matter. In what world does that fucking matter?
I kind of liked it because Data had to surrender.
I liked it too.
To his,
Here's the thing, though. Like everything, they rip something off from something previous and then do it shittier. Like the entire time, I'm thinking, oh man, remember this in the Matrix where Carrie Ann Moss and her friggin' skin tight leathers, just like looking like a girl you can chip a tooth on, and there's Keanu Reeves just looking like just badass incarnate, and they're in a white room, and then all the fucking things come, and all the guns come, and and it's amazing, right? And then what happens in Star Trek? Here, let me hug my lighting double. Oh, enjoy this penknife my dad gave me. Like, what the fuck, Like, you guys have all the imagination in the world and all the resources of Paramount streaming at your ability, and that's what you come up with. It's insulting.
Okay, so let's make up an imaginary best ending that we could imagine for this series. I'm gonna say, in my best ending, Jack Crusher's gonna die a painful death and be scrubbed from canon, like in a way that he can never return. I just don't. I'm not sure we're gonna get that lucky. Oops. Sorry, guys.
In 7 of 9 takes over as the Borg Queen on the USS Titan.
This is what I'm going for.
On the USS Titan, and she orders all of the drones in Starfleet to disengage and follow her. And then it's now a schism between the Alice Krieg Borg Queen on her cube and 7 of 9 Borg Queen with her Starfleet Borg fleets. And they have this huge epic battle outside of Jupiter.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is the destiny of the 7 of 9 character.
That's her whole...
That would
How is
awesome, right?
I'm sorry, quick aside. How is 7 of 9 not involved in a fucking Borg like storyline? Why is she involved in a changeling storyline so much? She's literally in the I can't.
Yeah, the only thing I will accept is that the 300 ships they have there. So you kind of nodded at this. You said this is all of Starfleet, but that has to be just like hyperbole, right?
I mean, it can't be.
All of Starfleet is out in the fucking galaxy, and these are the guys that can come back, right?
No,
so let's go. That's fine. There's 300 or 350 ships, whatever, and they're all Borgified together. I'm with you. Fucking make 7 of 9 the Borg Queen, except she's Starfleet Borg Queen.
Yeah,
this is Admiral 7 of fucking 9 of Starfleet, baby, and she's got her own Starfleet. Now they're all Borg together. Go ahead.
I got it. We have the 7 of 9 Starfleet Borg fleet, right? And then she goes to confront the Alice Krieg Borg cube in Jupiter, right? Except Jack Luke is in there banging Alice Krieg. Now he is the Borg king. and then
That
him
is
and
the
7 of
Destiny.
9 have this have this whole détente between the two of them, right? And then Spot the cat comes out,
Yeah.
and everyone learns how to love.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
but Spot has been Borg
Disco
assimilated.
sucks.
Yeah. You know what?
I don't fucking know.
I hope that happens, because even you pulling that out of your ass sounds better than what we're gonna get.
Yeah, Borgified Spot the cat comes out, and
Well, that's not bad because Jack's sexiness, right? That's what we're meant to believe. He is a sexy.
that's certainly what they want us to think.
He's a ladies' man. For
But I hate
sure.
that. Why didn't they just show it? The one time they show him where he could have been doing something, he's wearing a baseball cap and crying in a bar. You know, do you know what fucking guys do that, have baseball caps and drink a little in bars and go after the hot girls? They're not like worried about oh, my dad didn't love me. Oh no, you're looking for the girls whose dad didn't love them. Come
That's
on,
very true.
man. The Jack guy is like, oh, I'm a ladies' man. No, you're not.
He's a ladies' man who lives with his mom when he's 40 years old.
And so his ability to control people's mind, is that limited to those who have been through the Borgification process?
I guess so. I don't know. The Borg,
he's got the private key
yeah,
stored in his DNA, and so he can anybody who's been Borgified, right? Because he couldn't control the minds of somebody.
Right.
He's only controlling young people.
Right. He can't control everyone's. I guess that's right. Right. That makes sense.
But it's only the young people that have gone through the
who have gone through the transporter, so that they have the yes. That part actually makes a logical sense. The way they made that plot in such a way that satisfied me. Like I like that idea.
Yeah, I appreciated its cleverness. I do.
But that's where it ended because
I think that's cool. That's why McCoy doesn't want to get in the transporters, right?
That's right. He's afraid of the Borg.
Hey, fuck the Borg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So the Borg is around in the original series time. That's good. Well, I like that one.
Well, and so barring though some kind of like cliffhanger, like this is all set up for some new series, which is
it's not going to be that. It's not going to be a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It might be a setup like Star Trek 6 flying into the sunset, but it's not going to be a cliffhanger. I just don't understand. This is the problem. There's one episode to settle like 7 different plot lines. So either they're not going to settle 7 different plot lines, or it's going to be a fucking hell of an episode. Like it has to be like the perfect episode, which they're clearly not capable of doing.
Right.
Pardon my ignorance, but where is Vladik like right now at the end of that episode?
I mean,
floating in frozen bits of,
because they destroyed her ship. Was she in that ship? She was in.
I remember she got frozen in space and then hit the bulkhead and shattered into pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but the question is, can she still survive in space?
But changelings can. She just has to figure out how to get back together, I think.
I'm gonna go out on my limb and this is probably not gonna happen, but my prediction is that Vladik is the Jack Crusher who surrendered to the Borg. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm putting my prediction record on the line.
I like it. It's
because that's not a left field.
Crusher.
Yeah,
Jack Vladik. I like it.
But so you mean she has,
and there's going to be a switcheroo. So there's going to be a switch because she's a changeling that cannot be detected, right? They can't be detected by technology. So the Borg could be fooled by a changeling.
Just goes
Jack Crusher.
What? Well, because Jack Crusher can mind control her.
Yes. Well, maybe.
There you go.
But Jack Crusher, I feel, is somewhere.
Jack Crusher beamed her up onto the ship, which put the little Borg thing into her DNA, which is how he can now control her.
It's possible.
I don't understand it either. That's not the point.
I wish they would just do some good TV. They just, it's
Mandalorian is awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
Dude, have you watched The Night Agent? Awesome. That fucking TV show.
No, I haven't seen The Night Agent yet. Everyone says you gotta watch The Night Agent. I haven't seen The Night Agent yet. We started watching Florida Man Florida Man, it starts
Gregg,
off a little weird, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. The chief science officer likes it, so I like it.
I'm watching Mandalorian, but it's kind of it's losing its grip on me a little bit. I liked the season overall. It's head and shoulders better than this garbage.
Oh yeah,
that we're watching.
Oh yeah,
and I also think that a lot of the criticisms that are becoming like of the episode with Jack Black and those people were kind of missing how critical that is to be to the story going forward.
I don't understand the criticism of the Jack Black episode. Like, are you mad that there's a goofy character in a Star Wars show?
Right. Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's not like he's the main character. Like he's anyway.
Yeah, we got Barry. Look, here's the good.
Barry's coming back.
Barry started, Single Drunk Female. That show is under everyone's radar, and that's fucking bananas good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that a lot of nerd guys have just spent the coronavirus lockdown watching dumb shit and eating porridge made out of their own spooge because it's just such a closed system for those guys. Yeah. It's like Jack Black and Lizzo showing up. Like, what is non-Star Wars about that? There's always something.
I also think these guys love to jerk off about the EU, the expanded universe. Well, that's not what would happen in the EU. It's like, dude, no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck about the EU. Like, this is not. Just consider this a different version of the EU. How about that? There, problem solved.
That's kind of gone away, right? Because
they do it all the time.
No, I meant, but it's sort of a toothless whining because Star Wars is like, no, everything that we do starting at this point is canon. So why even they just don't? Star Wars just, Lucasfilm just doesn't talk about that other stuff.
Oh no, they don't.
And then Thrawn shows up, and they're like, he's coming back, and they're like, no, Thrawn came back because that's cool. But here's the story of Thrawn, not this other stuff. And
you're telling a different story.
But the Star Trek guys just will not do that. If they will just go, hey, this is the JJ verse now. There's a new thing going on. This is a new timeline. That's just how it is. And then everybody has maybe there's some grumbling for a couple of months, but then you just go, okay, that's Star Wars, Star Trek now. But they won't do that. And so then it's like, well, then guys like us just go bullshit.
I think
and then they get mad. It's
but
like,
there's enough Star Trek now. There's enough Star Trek you can just sort of like ignore the dumb ones. I like the Marvel Comics approach to continuity. They're like, yeah, all that shit happened. Spider Buggy, all that shit, it all happened. Every single just happened. But the cool stuff is all we really care about going forward, right? I kind of prefer that approach.
You know what the difference is though with Marvel and Star Wars? The difference between those two Star Trek is that because there's so much Star Wars and because there's so much Marvel, those things are their own genres now. Like, what a Marvel movie is, right? And they were insidious about it because they fooled everybody for 10 years. It's like, well, no, it's a heist movie with superheroes. And like, oh no, this is a bank robbery movie, but with superheroes. And, and now it's like, this is a Marvel movie, bro. And everybody just swallows it, right?
Yeah.
And the same with Star Wars. It's like, oh, all this canon is fine now. Okay, well, but they never tell you like, oh, you have to read this book to understand what's happening, or we're going to spend all next week making videos with Voyager clips and telling you people are assholes because you didn't understand what we were doing. Like, the way Star Trek creative treats their fans is so different from everything else. I kind of don't get it.
It's kind of insane, actually. Because it's not a large enough fan base where you can just alienate half of it, which is what they chose to do.
You guys will keep coming back for more, no matter what.
Not from Metalis. I had this conversation with my wife and my kid, and Walker asked me, "Is like, if they did that Star Trek Legacy show, are you gonna watch it?" And I was like, "Absolutely not."
No.
He's like, "There's gonna be a Star Trek show you don't watch." And I'm like, I only watched the first 3 things of Prodigy because John Santres told me it was good. And it's good, but it's not for me. So I just didn't watch the rest of it.
Right.
So they're actually setting up that you don't have to watch Star Trek anymore. Marvel
That's
doesn't
crazy.
do that. That's like, here's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Hey, guess what? Here's the new girl, Nick Fury. You're going to need to know about that. She's going to show up in Black Widow. But they do it painlessly and seamlessly, right? And these guys are like, no, you have to know that, Commander Shelby was this, anti-Borg girl from fucking 35 years ago. Well, okay, but there's a way to do that you guys are just not doing. And I think it's funny. Like, Marvel, yeah, remember that time Thor was a frog? That was ridiculous. Here's a 3-minute scene. You know what I mean? And everybody goes insane.
Also,
remember when Thanos had a helicopter? Here's a 3-minute scene. The dumber that it's gonna, and that's why I can't wait for Jackson
it's not there's a big difference though. I think it's not to the same extent where Star Trek fans, there's literally an encyclopedia, a day-by-day encyclopedia almost of what happens in Star Trek, right? You can go in, you can search what happened in October 2132.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can see that, right? Marvel doesn't do that. I mean, it's a comic book. It's not going to do that. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, he turned into a frog on Thursday, and then he went to, the Mjolnir factory on Wednesday. That's not what happens.
But they wouldn't reference years. They would never reference years, but they would reference like it happened in issue number 37, Dazzling Dave,
and to that point, if they just came out and said, yeah, with Star Trek Discovery, with CBS Star Trek, we're just creating a whole new Star Trek.
Yeah,
this is the CBS Star Trek. That's it. If they had done that, everyone, TV. I mean, we all have a billion complaints about the JJ verse, but none of us are ever going to complain that it's not the real Captain Kirk, because it's not. They came out and said it. They're like, yeah, this isn't the real Captain Kirk. This is JJ Abrams' Captain Kirk, So anyway, fuck them.
The cool part was they got real Spock to tell me this other guy was real Spock. Right. So they just don't do anything like that. It's like,
that's fair.
They just the new
I know.
Please,
time travel. He's gonna slingshot around the sun, just like Kirk.
The prediction now is I firmly believe that's the only thing they can do. But now it's like, how far back do they go? I think they're only going to go back to the beginning of Picard season 3. But I hope it's season 1. Just forget all that shit.
They're going to go back to 2367. Beverly Crusher is going to do something to Locutus so that it sterilizes whatever the fuck that the Borg put in them, so that this never happens. They're going to slingshot back, and they're going to be like, "Hey, it's Frontier Day. Are we still on for the party?"
Everybody likes the fat model now.
Yeah, right.
That's the only difference.
And our guest ship, the Enterprise D.
Yay.
Guys, well, I got to get out of here.
All right, let's hope that happens.
We all have lives.
I want to bring up, when we got no Star Trek to talk about, there might be a week or two in between series we could talk about. I want to go deep on Jar Jar Binks, because I've always thought, those theories about him being the secret Sith? I really, really like those theories.
Me too.
So anyway, we're going to be back, though. We're going to be back next week for sure. It'll be Tuesday. Maybe. It'll be 3 p.m. And man, I can't believe it took me this long to come up with a Space 1999 pun that's so lazy. All I had to do was add a decimal point. But we'll be back then. When? Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Earth time. But Dr. John, hey, when will that be?
Disco sucks.
I'm Sonny Tufts.
I'm Gloria Jean.
Join us here on WCBN-UZ-ZHYO-TV right here in Scarsdale.
For the most exciting new show since Whiplash, Space 1999.
A firecracker explodes, sending the moon into a complete tizzy.
And making all of us totally wacko.
Come with us and our co-star, S.C. Sackcow.
Space 1999. It's going to be a very, very good year.
Well, fair.
Not too bad.
Come see, come saw.
Well, good enough for Abe Mandel.
For Abe Mandel.